Heath here from pickinglessons.com. Walking bass lines on the guitar in this bluegrass style is a lot of fun. In this lesson, we're going to take a look at a bunch of variations. We're going to look at our basic boom chick rhythm with a variation. We've got some single chord vamp ideas, so sitting on a single chord but still throwing in some movement. And we'll also have a look at connecting in this key of G, the G to the C chords and the G to the D chords with some walking bass lines. That example at the beginning was a song by the name of Don't Tell Me So, and that example we're going to break down as well. Here in this video, we're going to take a look at basically their setup. We're going to make sure we have our rhythm, we have some variations on the single chords, so we can look at some vamping ideas there, and we'll get started with the walking lines. If you head over to pickinglessons.com, you can grab the entire chart that we'll be working through. In the member section there, we'll continue this lesson. We'll break down all the walking line ideas and we'll look at that example you've just heard at the beginning of this video as well for that song. Now, let's have a look at what's going on here. So firstly, we just want to get a basic structure of our rhythm. So for the G, the C and the D chords in this key, we want to have a look at what this basic boom chick style rhythm is. So here's the G chord. So you can set yourself up with your G shape. 4-finger G chord's always a nice way of going. You don't need that first finger in there for this rhythm. It's a pretty common thing to leave out. Now, the whole idea is we're alternating between our root note and the fifth of the chord. So G, A, B, C, D is the fifth. So we're going to go from a G to a D for our bass note. So our basic setup for this boom chick on a G is 6th string on the G bass note. We're going to strum the top 3 strings, and then we're going to play our 4th string D, and then strum those top 3 strings. And we want some separation there between our bass note and our accented part of the strum. So first step is to get that rhythm, yeah? So focusing in on string 6 and string 4 with our highlight on the accent on beat 2 and beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So getting on top of that, it's going to be very similar for the other chords. So up to a slightly quicker tempo. This is our basic rhythm that we want. There's a lot of this going on in this style of music. Let's have a look at the C and the D variations. C shape, we're going to move our 3rd finger from the C position, bass note into the G. Continue to hold the rest of the chord though. So 2nd and 1st fingers will stay, and we get this alternating between C and the G. On the D chord, it's kind of similar. Hold your D chord shape, play the open D, and the open A is its 5th. So we have D, accent, 1, 2, 3, 4. This rhythm is all about those backbeat accents, yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we want this strong emphasis on beat 2 and beat 4. So G, C, and D. Now get that going first. Next, we're going to have a look at some variations on that. So on the G chord, we're going to bring in this. And what we're doing here is adding a little bit more strumming towards the end of the measure. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and down, down, up, down, up. So it's the same setup, bass, strum, bass, but then up, down, up at the end of the measure. Just nice and slow. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. A couple more times. Now with these variations, you can throw them together with the basic one. So for example, I'll do one measure on each. And that sounds really nice. It's a nice way of rocking back between the two, so it's not the same all the time. Creates a bit of interest in what you're doing. The C and the D variations are going to be somewhat similar. So taking our standard idea for the C and bringing in that extra rhythm towards the end of the measure. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. So one of the tricks of doing this is that we really need to make sure we follow through after the 2nd bass note so we can catch the up strum straight away. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Again, you compare it with the basic version, rock between the two. The D is somewhat similar. Again, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. really comfortable with those as a first step is really important, because that's the backbone of what we're doing here. So do practice those up. Just take your time and get familiar with how that's played and the structure of that rhythm. What we'll check out next is some variation on a single chord. So if we're holding, for example, the G chord for a little while in the progression, as we did in Why Don't You Tell Me So, you can bring in some ideas where we're just sort of playing through that chord. We're not walking as such to another chord, but we are moving our bass notes through the chord. For example, this G. So that works really nice. You might be sitting on the G chord for, let's say, 4 measures. We might do our basic versions first, then into that variation. We're going to move within the chord. So that works really nice. Let's just break that down. So on the G we have. So our bass line goes from the G. We hammer on from A into B, we next hammer on from D into E, and then we play open D. So every second beat we get this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. That's our bass line. Bring in our strumming around that, where we're accenting. We're going to have. Again. As I mentioned, you're going to pair all this up, and it doesn't have to be necessarily in any set structure, but that one's nice at the end of a phrase. So if the vocal phrase is kind of wound up, and then you can put some movement in there, but it doesn't have to be in that place. It could start out in that way. Then we go back to a basic. Yeah, so you can kind of play around with the structure of the order you put these in. But they're all great ideas. We can do a similar thing for the C chord, and the C chord we're going to do this one. So a 2-measure run, the second measure is where the change happens. So we have our variation on the boom chick, then a hammer on that second finger within the chord from the open D to the E. So beats 3 and 4, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Putting the whole thing together slowly. 3, 4. So getting comfortable with these ideas, because we do want to try and play them sometimes a bit quicker if it calls for that. If you're finding it a bit tricky to hit those bass notes, you can just pull out those exercises where you're just going to focus on the bass note. Maybe bring in a simple strum. Go back to the basic boom chick. Just really get a handle on that. So drill it down as much as you need, but let's move on to the D variation. So the D variation is kind of similar to the C. We're going to go hammer onto that A. So the first finger within the D chord, open G, back into the A. Again, we'll do this in the second half of that second measure there. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Putting it together, the 2 bars, ready, and. Now, get comfortable with what we've set ourselves up with so far. So we've got the basic boom chick on the 3 chords, the variation, then that single chord vamping, so just moving inside the chord. Just to finish this video off, let's have a look at the first idea, moving from the G into the D chord. So here what we're going to do is take basically some notes from the G scale that will move us into the D chord coming up next. So what we have, so we're taking the B and the C from the scale, stepping up to the root note D for the next chord. So we're just leading our way to the next chord change through the scale, just stepping up through the scale. So our G shape, walking line into our D. If we paired that with a little bit of time on the G chord, hear that it really walks into that chord and it sets our ear up for what's about to happen. So that's kind of one of the features or the purposes of these walking lines too. Okay, we've got a whole lot more to check out. We've got more variations for the G and the D changes, the G and the C, and this example we heard at the beginning of the video for that Don't Tell Me So chord progression. So head on over to pickandlessons.com. We'll continue this lesson in the member section, but you can just grab the chart too there at pickandlessons.com. So head on over. I'll see you there.